You are listening to Beyond the Wheel, a podcast about the people and ideas that drive the RV community forward.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium-ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off-grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop-in replacement for traditional lead-acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour. And backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com. Hey everybody, and welcome back to Beyond the Wheel. I think today, Sean and I have a really fun episode for you. We're talking about passion and RV, and not your passion to RV, but maybe your passions that you do and how you use the RV to fulfill those passions. One of those examples is exactly a passion that I have, which is off-roading or Jeeping, as some people might call it. I tow my Jeep behind my RV, and I actually travel as much as I can all across the country looking for different Jeep trails. And I say Jeep trails because I do something called a Jeep Badge of Honor, and you can do a trail, and a Jeep Badge of Honor trail can be done by any vehicle, but if you do it in a Jeep actually sends you out a little badge that you can place on your vehicle, or some people just put them on a wall back at their house. So it's fun for me to challenge myself to do these different trails, but I would say that I use my RV to kind of fulfill my passion of Jeeping and off-roading. And Sean, of course, is here with me, and I think Sean's got a good example of how his wife uses their RV for her passion.
Yeah, Julie, my wife, she likes to hike. So she takes the RV. Actually, she's taken the RV a few times by herself when I don't want to go, just to go to a certain spot that she wants to go hiking. And so that's another example of passion travel. But there's lots of examples, like I think some of them can be people traveling around for food or different restaurants or music, sports, history, photography, basically whatever your hobby or your passion is, you can use your RV to help get you there and have a place to stay while you do it. And you don't have to worry about all the logistics of flights and reservations and trying to get everything organized that way. This way, you can just hop in your RV and hit the road and find the areas where your passion is popular. And I used to be a big time NASCAR fan, more of a Formula One fan now, so you can't really do it. But NASCAR, there's lots of people, mostly retirees, that will travel to all the different NASCAR tracks because most of them have campgrounds, and they'll stay at try and follow the NASCAR teams as they go from track to track. So that would be pretty cool too, to do that.
Yeah, isn't there for NASCAR, Sean? Can't you sometimes park your RV in a center of the track and almost tailgate right from the middle of the event? Is that a thing?
Yeah, yeah, there's some popular tracks to do that at, actually. Like, I used to know somebody that would go to the race in Alabama, Talladega,
Mm.
every year, and that one's like known for having a big time party atmosphere in the center where some people can park. I did do one in Richmond, Virginia, at an RV there, and that one's outside the track, but it was still a lot of fun to be able to hang out, just hang out in the parking lot. And then you don't have to worry about getting there so many hours early to
Oh,
park.
yeah.
And, parking's far away, then you have to take a shuttle or walk. This way you're parked pretty close, and when you hear the race getting ready to start, you can just lock your RV and walk over.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think you touched on it a little bit too, Sean, about, rather than trying to fly and catch these events and shows, your RV, because of the storage capacity, maybe if you're into skiing, or for me, for my Jeep and stuff like that, you can kind of bring the equipment that you need It might not be easy to get a snowboard or skis onto a plane or in cargo. It may be, but it's definitely easier just to put them in your RV. Your hiking equipment, your backpack. Flying's a hassle to me. And if I got to check a bag, then it becomes even a bigger hassle. So I like the idea that I can just like put all my stuff in the back of the RV and go type of thing. But we are curious for anybody listening. Maybe you've never really thought about RVing in this way, or maybe you have, but we'd love to hear from you. How do you use your RV for your passions? What passions? And Sean and I are going to talk about a few, and we have a couple more personal ones that we can share, but we would love to hear from you. How do you use your RV to fulfill your passions? We have a friend, Peter Holcomb. He's all about kayaking. He carries something about somewhere around 12, or he has in the past anyway, carried up to about 12 different kayaks because he kayaks, his wife kayaks, and his daughter kayaks. And they do different styles of kayaking. So imagine trying to do that with a plane. How do you get 12 kayaks somewhere? So we know that RVing is a very popular way to do your hobbies and fulfill your passions. Another one that I have that I would consider maybe not passion, maybe that's too strong of a word for what I like to do, but I know Sabrina and I, when we're traveling, we're both movie geeks. If we see an area or know of an area that something was filmed, we'll go and check it out. We just did that while we were in the Pacific Northwest. She's a big Twilight fan. So we went and checked out some of the Twilight locations. We also, while we were up there, we're both big fans of a TV show called Portlandia. So we went and checked out while we were in Portland some of the filming locations. Also, while in Oregon on a different trip, we went out to check out where Goonies was filmed. So I know that's a fun thing for me. And I think most people just think of RVing as the journey or your destination, like, oh, I'm going to the beach, or I guess the beach could be a passion for you. But I think there's more to it than just sometimes the journey and the destination. It really is your passion and what you love to do, mixing it with something else that you love to do, which is RVing.
We're trying to go to all the state parks in
Mhm.
Virginia, and Virginia is a pretty big state, so taking the RV to be able to go to those state parks is very convenient compared to having to travel, and, we can bring our dog with us that way, and it makes it really easy. In fact, we're going this weekend, near Virginia Beach, and we're gonna be going to a couple of state parks over there that we have to get
Nice.
on our list of
Okay.
being able to finish. But RV Share did a survey, I guess it was last year, they put out a report last year, and they asked people, "How far would you go for a passion-based trip?" And it's pretty interesting, only 9% said they would stay under 100 miles. 33% said they would go regional, which was 100 to 500
Hmm.
miles. 37% would go cross country, which is more than 500 miles. And 21% would go anywhere, which they called international. I
Okay.
expected the 37%, the cross country, to be much higher, because if you're really passionate about something, you would think you would want to travel no matter where it is to do it. But I understand there's probably cost limitations and things like that. But that's where the RV comes in. It helps you save a little money.
Yeah, I wonder if it's a time thing in general. That is the only downside to RVing. If you only get 2, 3 weeks off from work and you're traveling across the country, it's gonna take you 5 days probably by RV, then another 5 to get back, and you may just not have the time to maybe go that far. That's the only thing I could really think of, is that maybe it becomes and you mentioned cost. I mean, that's gonna be very expensive in fuel as well. But, it will be very time consuming to travel that way, to go that far. But they had international listed on there, so I don't know.
Yeah, international is really expensive.
What do you think the furthest Julie would travel for hiking would be?
Oh, international, easy.
International for
Yeah.
hiking,
Yeah.
yeah.
She wants to go do the Dolomites, hike in the Dolomites.
That
And
sounds
actually, like,
nice.
this year has been the highest year of deaths in like a certain amount of time period for people dying while hiking on these mountains. So I'm not sure I'm too keen on it, but I guess you can also say, like, when you're traveling in your RV, like you said, it's not just about the destination. Like an example is we went to Tennessee. You can say like we went to Tennessee and tasted every hot chicken spot we could find, that restaurant. So if you're traveling for a passion or for a hobby, it makes it like part of the journey, not just the journey itself.
Yeah. And I guess this wouldn't technically fall under passion. But Sabrina and I, when we were living full time in RV, we were using it to get to her work. I wouldn't say that work is her passion, but it definitely was our reason for going to these destinations. It was the draw for us to go from location to location was for her work. And I think for some people, work can be passion. I wouldn't say that's the case for Sabrina though. But we also, I would say, use the RV now for Sabrina's passion, which is language learning. We will drive our RV to Mexico so that she can go down there and do like an immersion trip and really soak in the culture. So I would consider that one of her passions, and one of the ways we use our RV for that passion is to really just kind of immerse her in that environment with the RV and use the RV for that.
Yeah, I guess we can run through some examples of passions that people could use their RV for. I think one is food and drink, like we already mentioned,
Hmm.
barbecue trails, wine country, craft breweries, food trucks. There's shows on TVs about the best food truck now, so people probably travel for that. Farmers markets. Several years ago, before we RV'd, Julie and I went to Kentucky and did the Bourbon Trail. That would be nice in an RV as
Hmm.
well, going to all the different bourbon distilleries. So that's food and drink is probably a big one.
Yeah, I wonder if company like Harvest Host, I wonder if there's people that now, because that has grown so much. I wonder if some people travel from Harvest Host to Harvest Host just doing the wineries and food. I would consider. I bet you there's somebody that follows maybe just Harvest Hosts, and that is their passion. That is their way of traveling is just from Harvest Host to Harvest Host.
Yeah, I bet that's true. I bet
Yeah.
there are people.
It's
Yep.
a good question for Joel. The next time we talk to him, we'll have to ask him if he knows of anybody that actually books all their travel and their plans around Harvest Host locations. I bet you the answer is yes.
Yeah, I bet too. Another one is sports. So either following your favorite sports team around the country, visiting iconic stadiums, and like I said, lots of people do it for NASCAR or auto racing.
Mhm.
I had a friend actually who would travel every year to all the different spring training sites for baseball because he was a big baseball fan. So he would spend time in Florida and Arizona, traveling to all the different spring training games, which was his passion. Another one we can talk about is particularly around me our history and culture. I live on the East Coast, Virginia, which is Civil War country, I guess. And there's lots of Civil War battlefields. Kenny, you did this one. You did the Route 66 trip and went to all the odd museums and sites along there.
Yeah, that was a great trip. I still think about that trip. That was a trip that I did with just Belle and I. Yeah, I still think of that trip and just how fun that was. I went from Arizona to Illinois. I still think Belle and I now have to take it in the other directions. Just say that we completed the entire thing. That was a lot of fun, and I feel like that kind of put in a couple different passions of mine. Like I was able to stop and do Jeep tours and trails. I did a couple museums and I stopped and got different food. So I feel like I combined a few of my passions all into that one trip. That was really good.
Yeah, Julie and I want to go to all the presidential museums, and we've been to quite a few, but we use the RV to go to those different locations as well.
I forget, Sean, the presidential museums, are they typically free or is there a fee involved in them?
That's a good question. I can't even remember, Kenny.
Oh, okay. I I feel like you have told me in the past that they were free or just open to the public, that it wasn't something that you paid for, but I might be, getting it confused with something else.
Yeah, I think some of them might take your national parks pass.
Oh,
I'm not 100% sure on that, but the I know most of the museum parts are free, but if you wanna do any research or look through any of the documents or anything, I think you might have to pay for that.
okay, okay. And you just said the national. I mean, that's a big passion for a lot of people. I know several people that their goal is, they got an RV to visit every national park. That's a passion of theirs, whether that just be to see them or to hike the parks. I mean, there's so much to do in the national parks. You can again kind of combine some of your passions, whether that be hiking or rafting or boating. Some of the national forests. Actually, I've been finding have jeep trails or off-road trails in them. I didn't think that would be a thing. I always think of national parks is like being protected, national forests being protected. And I don't really think of off-roading as protecting the land. I'm not purposely out there trying to tear it up, but the two seem kind of what would the word be, Sean? Counterintuitive of each other. So I'm surprised that I am finding as many national forests as I am that have off-road trails, and there's actually Jeep badge of honors in those national forests.
Yeah, I think another one related to Jeep is motorcycles. I see a lot of
Hmm.
people hauling motorcycles with their RV, and they're trying to go to all the, like, well-known motorcycle spots.
Yeah, and when you said that, it just reminded me of James and Stephanie, from the Fit RV. They're friends of ours, and they got into RVing for their biking because they wanted to travel and do biking, and they had a small van with a little trailer in the back, and they put their bikes in there, and they would travel to different locations just for biking. They actually just finished the Ragbri. I was gonna call it a race, but it's not technically a race, and it goes through Iowa, and you camp and bike for several days across the state. I think it's like a 4-day event. So you bike, you drink, you party, and then you camp either in a tent or you use your RV and camp in your RV. And it's like a 4 or 5 day event. So yeah, there's a lot of ways I would say to enhance a passion that you have. If there's something fun that you enjoy to do, you can probably make it even more fun with an RV because now you can take that hiking experience and extend the range. I'm surprised actually, Sean, you said that regional was all the way up to 500 miles. I consider 500 miles radius to be that's a large region. But I think, like I said, that just amplifies just how much more fun that passion can turn into by using your RV. I know somebody that likes to travel and do metal detecting instead of just doing metal detecting in his backyard. He gets in his RV and he travels a little distance, stays overnight places, and does metal detecting. I mean, that's a great way to really expand what you're searching for and what you're going to see. I thought that was a great idea too.
Yeah, I think another big one for people is music and
Hmm.
music festivals, and I would go along with that, art and music festivals too. One of Julie and I's passions is reading. We read a lot, and there's book fairs that occur, like, from spring until late fall, and I told her one year I would like to go tour in the RV to all the big book fairs that occur
Hmm.
across the country.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool too. Of course, we got outdoors and we've mentioned hiking, kayaking, fishing. We haven't mentioned bird watching yet. And the friend of mine that has the metal detector, his wife enjoys bird watching. So she'll have him take the RV out just so that they can travel to different locations for bird watching, which I know, Sean, you and I both enjoy. If I see a bird, I'll usually take a photo and send it to you, and we try to figure out like what it is or sounds. I use the Merlin app to listen. So I totally get that one too. I think bird watching is very relaxing for one, but it can be an adventure too, going out and looking for these birds, especially if you're looking for like some of the raptor styles, the hawks, the owls. I don't know why I find birds so fascinating, but I do. I really enjoy the different sounds. Sabrina and I are always feeding the birds that we have in our backyard. We got a bird bath back there for them. We try to attract as many different types of birds into our area as possible.
Speaking of, I just mentioned books, and
Hmm.
I wanted to say that And you mentioned going to movie sites.
Hmm.
One time we were at a campground in Arizona and we met a pretty well-known author was RVing
Ah,
there, and she actually uses the RV to find locations that she can write, like she writes fiction, but she finds the unique locations that they use when they're traveling in their RV to create scenes in her books, which I thought was pretty cool. So she's almost doing the opposite.
yeah, that's pretty interesting. I never thought of it. So she's using it as inspiration, maybe? Would that be the right
Yeah,
way to maybe
inspiration, yeah, to get
work it?
ideas for
Ah. I thought you were going to say people could use the RV to maybe go to these locations that are written about in a book. But you, like you said, Sean, that's the total opposite. She's using it. Interesting. Yeah, that's a cool way to do it too. And again, I think with RVing, I really do think it amplifies everything. I think you get to spend more time in an area, you see more, on the road rather than obviously just flying over something. So that's a great way. Yeah, that's pretty smart. That's pretty cool. And we mentioned like Route 66. I would say that Route 66 is a pretty quirky interest, but there's other things like that. I think some of these rallies and stuff. There's groups that will do like a rally at Bisbee in Arizona, and that's a quirky little town, and they call it like the Wild Wild West or the Weird Wild West. That's what it is, Weird Wild West rally. And I think of other attractions that I've seen just on this trip. Now I'm traveling from Arizona to Colorado, and I saw a sign that said the world's largest pistachio. Like, there's people out there that just look for the strangest things that they can see in their RV. Like, that there's people traveling to see that world's largest pistachio. I also see the signs that say, stop and see the thing. And it's supposed to be, I don't even know what it's supposed to be because I've never stopped to look at it. But there's people that are looking for these things, quirky little destination things.
yeah, I wouldn't say I purposely travel to like it's not a passion of mine, but whenever we get somewhere and we're staying for a while, I always go to like Atlas Obscura or one of those websites to find that weird stuff just to go check it out.
Just to
So
see
we've
it.
done that. We do that, yeah, everywhere we stop, but I don't specifically travel to see that, but I'm sure there are people that do.
Yeah, I bet you people probably build a trip around it rather than, oh, well, while we're going that way, I think we're going past this. Let's check that too. And we kind of mentioned earlier too that you can kind of combine some of these passions. Like I enjoy, so when I do take my Jeep out, yes, I do like doing the Jeep Badge of Honors, but I also like doing trails where I'm going to discover something, even if it's already been discovered. Maybe discover is not the right word, but I want to see it myself. It could be a cave, a plane crash site, a petroglyph. I like the trails that I almost feel like Indiana Jones and I'm looking out for something. There's been times that I've gone out, people have pinpointed where the petroglyphs are, and I still can't find them. And it takes me 2, 3 times before you actually see them because they're faint on a wall and there's no sign or arrow that says, hey, petroglyphs here. You just got to kind of get down the right road and the right trail and look through the trees and actually find stuff. So I feel like I do feel like I combine a little bit of the jeeping with the exploration. Again, that's all because of the RV. I'm able to take the RV, pull the jeep to a campsite, and be near that area to give me time to actually look and explore. So you can easily combine some of these passions. And again, while you guys are listening to us, maybe you're thinking of a passion that you didn't even realize that you had, and you're like, oh yeah, you know what? I guess this is a passion of mine that I do like to enjoy, and the RV is enhancing that passion or that experience.
Yeah, and I think it goes the other way too that your passion maybe keeps RVing fun
Mm,
as well, so you're not just traveling just to go to the same old campground, and stay your 2 weeks of vacation or whatever. You're actually have a purpose for going out and taking that RV on it's somewhere new and exciting.
yeah, and I know for sure there's got to be at least one person that enjoys photography, and they're like, well, I do like to take my camera to new places and photograph things. I would count that as a passion, especially if you're using the RV so that your photography is of something new to you, type of thing. So I bet you there's people out there listening that didn't even realize they had a passion and that they were using their RV for that passion.
So like we said, first it'll keep you excited about traveling
Mhm.
if you pick a passion and travel for that passion. I think second, it makes trip planning easier because you have a goal in mind and you're not just overwhelmed by where should I go. You have a reason for going where you're going to go, and that makes it a little bit easier to plan.
Then you're just not driving for maybe when Belle and I did that Route 66 one, I was going to the Hershey show and I was leaving from Arizona. That's a pretty long drive with nothing, if you wanted to, you could have done that entire drive with nothing in between. But I was like, you know what, I have a little bit of time. Why don't I break up that trip a little bit and actually see some of these sites along the way and make that destination not so much the reason for the trip and make the journey and the little locations along the way the real reason for the trip. So I think these passions, again, I'm going to say just kind of are enhanced by the RV, but also can be, like Sean said, the other way around. These passions can enhance the RV trip as well. They really go hand in hand. They really work well together. And nobody's got a great story of, oh, I drove from Florida to Maine and nothing happened in between. Like that doesn't, you know, that's not a fun story to tell. So I think by stopping and enjoying your passions along the way, create better stories, and it creates a unique experience for you that somebody else, they might do a similar, but it's not going to be the exact same trip. Like I said, a trip from Florida to Maine, yeah, that's fun. But if you stop and you do photography and you stop and you do some trails or you stop and see the world's largest ball of twine, which I'm not even sure if is in between there. I'm sure it's somewhere. I know somebody's got the world's largest ball of twine somewhere. I don't know where it is. But when you stop and you do those things, it just makes your life, I think, more fulfilled, just better stories in general, something for you to share with your family, something to share. Maybe you're driving from Maine to Florida or vice versa to meet up with family, and now you'll have some stories to tell them of your trip and what happened along the way.
And maybe you think that I have this passion, I really like doing X,
Mm,
but there's nowhere really to travel because of that. I bet if you went into Google and put where should I travel if I like doing whatever it is that you're passionate about, tons of suggestions will come up and you probably don't even realize how much stuff there is not only across the country but across the world that are related to that passion that you have. So I think it would be good if you're in that situation, think about what you really like to do and then search it in Google and just put places to travel if I like doing this,
mm.
and I bet you things will come up and get you excited.
Yeah. Just as we're talking, Sean, I wonder if Adventure Genie, who we've had on the show before, I you know how you can kind of do your own trip planning or trip builder and you tell it what you want to do on that trip? I wonder if they have like a passion category. I wonder if you can tell it, "Oh, I want to see roadside attractions," or I want to see maybe off-road trails along the way. That might be something that we got to reach out. I guess that's something we can research ourselves. But if you guys know the answer, if you guys have used Adventure Genie and know the answer, just let us know because that's going to save Sean and I some research. Or better yet, it'll save us from reaching out to Scott and asking him and Scott telling us back, why don't you guys know this already? Why don't you already know the answer to this?
Yeah, I guess another thing you could look at are things like fantasy RV tours
Mm,
because they have a lot of different kinds of trips, and some of them might be related to your passion. Like Kenny, you did a Jeep one with
hmm.
them.
I want to say, Sean, that fantasy RV tours is pretty much passion driven. I think everything that they do is either like in a party mode or we did the whale watching in Mexico. It's wineries, it's a foodie drink. Like I feel like they kind of tapped into that idea that okay, people love food, people like to drink, and people like to be entertained type of thing. So, they do a music tour, they do a winery tour, they do a Jeep tour. So, Yeah, I would say that they are definitely combining passion and RVing together, and they do it really well. They're all fun trips.
And I guess the next tip that I would give is that don't make your trip so rigid that you're
Mm.
just going from X to Y to Z for your passion. Like keep your eyes open and there might be something cool along the way that you want to stop and do and maybe find a passion that you never even knew you had.
Like I said, I'm trying to do a little better of giving myself a little bit extra time to explore, but I would say I'm still not great at that. Because, like, I picked that Jeep destination, and I don't really think about anything in between. I'm like, "Alright, I gotta get to that trail. I wanna go to that trail. I wanna see that trail."
Yeah, it's really hard to do. I think the same thing. I never give myself enough time to want to pull over. It seems like when I'm behind the wheel, I just want to get where I'm going.
Mhm. Yeah, same, especially if it's like a Disney trip. I'm just focused on Disney. Even if it's just not for your passion trips. I think anytime you're doing any type of trip planning, giving yourself extra time because you never know if there's an accident, you never know construction. I feel like all travel in the RV is multiplied compared to what that would be in a car. And some of that's for good reason, some of it's, not. I also stop more and make lunch. I don't do that when I'm driving in my car. So,
Yeah, and I think one other thing I would say to do is to keep a journal or take lots of photos or
mhm,
videos because when you're talking about these types of trips where you're traveling for your passion, it's probably a better story. And if you have cool photos or, things to read and remember to go along with it, it'll make talking about it that much more exciting.
I agree. And you should be taking photos anyway. I
I'm really
love
bad about that. I don't
Oh,
take
really?
photos. No.
Oh my goodness. I think I have the opposite problem, Sean. I think I take too many photos and then they get kind of lost. The good ones get lost in all the junk that I took too. My problem is I take too many photos, but I love sharing photos. I send photos to you all the time, but I send photos to my parents. If Sabrina's not on a trip with me, I'm sending photos to Sabrina. And then of course social media. I'm on Instagram and Facebook, and I feel like photos is man, I don't know. Photos is a tough one. I know people are photographers and they build a whole passion around the photo. I don't think I'm there, but I like how photos complement the story. Like you said, I think that is
Yeah.
why I take so many photos. I'm not going to do a great job of describing the mummy museum like I was telling you earlier, but I can send you a couple photos of these mummies and you can see the skin and everything on their face and the teeth, and you get a much better idea than what I'm describing to you.
Yeah,
So I
we
think
know we know people, Kenny, that will take hours to get a photo just
mhm,
perfect, for their blog or just because they're that picky about it, but I don't think you have to be that picky to take a photo to have the memory of
mhm.
what you're seeing or what you're doing.
Yeah, it can be a selfie. It doesn't have to be the perfect lighting and the perfect angle. Like I said, I think it's just a great way to complement the story. It's not the story, it's just helping you tell the story. But some people are very, very, like you said, picky and professional about their photography, and that is the shot. You know, they're looking for the best shot that they've ever taken in their life type of thing. The timing's gotta be right. The golden what is it, golden hour, the amount of clouds in the sky gotta be just right so it softens the lighting and it's not so harsh. Yeah, I mean, some people are very, very passionate about their photos. I enjoy it. I think it's fun. I don't think photography is a passion though, for me anyway.
I forget to take photos most of the time, but I do journal. So
Ah,
I do journal every day. So I do capture moments that way more so writing more so than photos.
okay. Do you have a book that you write in, Sean, or is it on computer? Just curious.
I have notebooks that I've used in the past, but now I use my Remarkable.
Oh, I forgot
You know
about the
the
Remarkable.
Remarkable, Sabrina has one, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like a notebook, but it's digital.
Yeah.
So,
But you're writing though with the
yeah,
Remarkable.
yeah.
It's not
Yeah,
typed.
yeah, it's like
So
writing on paper, yeah.
yeah, for anybody listening, the Remarkable is like a digital notebook, like Sean said, and doesn't have a keyboard on it. It's not like an iPad. You have a little pen that you transcribe and write just like you would on paper. It's cool. It's cool. Yeah, I like that idea too, Sean. I've never really journaled much. I don't have a diary or a journal, but I probably should have. All these years being on the road and traveling, and I think I do it through photographs, I guess is the way I do it. And then any Android user out there will probably know, like, you'll get a message every once in a while that'll say 5 years ago today, and it'll show you. It might do that on iPhone too, I don't know, but and it'll show you where you were 5 years ago and what you were doing that day. I always think that's pretty cool to look back, be like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, I think Julie gets some of those. I don't know if it's through social media or through Apple or where
Hmm.
it's from, but she does get photos like that occasionally.
Okay. It's cool. It's almost like a little time capsule, and it'll show you the, like 5 on Google anyway, it shows you like 5 or 7 photos of what you took that day, and you can kinda relive that day, especially if you were out doing something fun. Google doesn't know, it's randomly the photo I got today was 4 years ago, my backyard and what it looked like. It was all overgrown. It's not always like a fun photo.
So, Kenny, do you have your next passion trip planned? Or if you were to plan one, what would it be?
Yeah, it's going to be a Jeep trip. I mean, I just finished that Colorado trip where I took the Jeep, and I was just there for off-roading. But I would say my next passion one is another Jeep trip in, Virginia, and I hope to meet up with you guys because I don't think I'll be too far away from you guys, but it's another Jeep Badge of Honor in Virginia. I'm originally going there for the Hershey show, and I'm also working the Overland East show, but in between those 2 shows, I wanna go and, do the Jeep Badge of Honor trail. So all of my trips now, all of my leisure trips are really planned around off-roading nowadays. How about you guys?
Our next passion trip is actually not in the RV. We're actually going to stay at an inn in Pennsylvania, and we're going to hike 3 days or 4 days in the Appalachian Trail
Ah,
up there and do some sort of geology and uh, archaeology kind of stuff that are related to that. So we both like the outdoors and we both like reading, and there's actually a reading list for this trip that we're taking. So it gets you reading more books related to that area and the history and things like that. So, and there's lectures at night. So it's my kind of passion trip.
okay.
So it'll be fun, and that's in beginning of November. We do have RV trips planned between now and then, but they're not passion trips. They're more like family vacation type trips.
Okay. So the trip that you're taking and you have literature to read, is that something that you just find online that you do yourself, or is it a guided tour? Is it something that is kind of put together for you, like a fantasy RV trip would be?
Yeah, it's like Fantasy RV, but it's a group called Road Scholars.
Oh,
And so all their trips are sort of educational based and also outdoor activity kind of things. So they have like cycling, hiking, all different kinds of stuff like that, photography, kind of passion based travel, I guess you would say, but
oh, okay.
not in the RV. It's just regular travel, I would call it.
Okay. Oh, very cool. Very cool.
Yeah, it should be fun. It'll be my our first time doing it, but Julie has lots of friends that have done several of the hiking ones that they've had. So,
Okay. And then what category does this one fall under? Is it hiking and reading?
oh, they all have reading
Oh, they
and they
all
all
have
have
reading.
lectures.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay.
yeah, but it falls under like hiking.
Okay. Interesting. And I guess, Sean, it's not just in one area then. Are they like nationwide?
International. Yeah, it's
International.
inter
Oh,
yeah,
it's a
yeah.
bigger thing than
Well, a
I
couple
thought
of
then.
those reading lists, Kenny, I saw one, I think it had 22 books on it that they recommend you read before you go.
Sean, that would take years for me. I would need years to prepare for that trip to read 22 books. You guys wouldn't. Julie reads how many books in a year?
120 about.
And you read near 100, I think.
No, I my goal is 50 a year. But she reads a lot of fiction and I read a lot of nonfiction. So I'm also like taking notes on the books that I read and things like that. So it takes me a little bit longer.
I could see that then. Okay, okay. Either way, that's a lot of books compared to somebody like me. I don't even think I read a book a year anymore.
But
Not since school.
22 is a lot for a week-long trip.
That is a lot of books. I mean, even at your pace, that's almost 6 months of reading.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of reading, but that's how I guess intense these some of these trips are in terms of education and the people that like the one we're doing, I think the person that the lead kind of host, I guess, is a professor at some university that's an expert in that area that's going to be taking us. So it's pretty interesting if you're into that.
Okay.
So, whether your passion is food, music, sports, history, or just finding weird roadside attractions, passion driven RVing makes the journey truly yours and truly memorable. It turns the road into a way to live out what you love, not just a way to get somewhere, like we talked about earlier. And we'd love to hear from you. What passion would you build an RV trip around? Or do you exclusively use your RV for passion travel? Send us an email either at Sean at Beyond the Wheel Podcast or Kenny at Beyond the Wheel Podcast, or just leave a comment on the website. And we love to hear from people about the shows that we do and what your passions are. And if you have any idea for topics for future shows, please let us know. So thanks for listening. And until next time, safe travels.
Looking to get out there and stay out there? Battleborn Batteries lithium ion batteries are here to power your RV, marine, and off grid adventures. Designed as an easy drop in replacement for traditional lead acid batteries, these reliable solutions have 2 to 3 times the power, charge 5 times faster, are a fifth of the weight, and last 10 times longer. Offered in a variety of models in unique sizes and shapes, ranging from 50 amp hour to a robust 270 amp hour, and backed by a 10-year warranty. Battleborn batteries are built to fit your needs and power your experiences. On the road, on the water, and off the grid, reliable power is here. Check them out at battlebornbatteries.com.